Hey everybody, welcome back to Buy Nothing, because your wallet is the only vote you have left. My name is Adam. I am a registered independent in West Virginia. I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. That's who got us here. I haven't been with either party since 2016. We got to talk about some local stuff and some national stuff. The tariffs are taking over the media, but that doesn't change the fact that Doge has affected basically everybody at this point. The first story we've got brings us right to my hometown. Significant downsizing happening at NIOSH in Morgantown. And there were a bunch of people laid off right here in my hometown, scientists with important jobs who kept track of the health of local workers. And the reason I bring this up is because we have a representative in the Senate who is up for re-election in 2026, and that's Shelley Moore Capito. Here's what she said. While I believe in the broad vision set forth by the Trump administration to right-size our government, I'm concerned that today's cuts could impact vital health programs that are important to many West Virginians. How can you believe in the broad vision and have a problem with these cuts? You would have to pick one or the other. The whole point of the broad vision is to eliminate the government. It's being sold to you as some efficiency, but if that was true, the inspectors general that actually work on government efficiency and have saved over $80 billion for U.S. taxpayers wouldn't have been fired on day one. But they were. If you've never heard of an inspector general, that's great because you haven't had to make a complaint to them. But they are kind of the buck stops here type of people when it comes to complaints and investigations and looking into things that are being done wrong to the American taxpayer, the American consumer, the American corporation, all of the above. And there are no more inspectors general. It was so they could go in and make cuts and eliminate these jobs, just like these people at the CDC and NIOSH. CDC should spark some memory with you, the Center for Disease Control. That's right. These people make sure that people are healthy and they are safe at their jobs and in their work environments. And they are gone. Speaking of gone, Shelley Moore Capito is up for re-election in 2026. So you need to write to her and let her know that this will not stand, and you cannot be in favor of eviscerating the government and keeping people's government jobs at the same time. You would have to pick the people or trust in Trump.
Trust in Trump.
Yes. Sounds like they got a great new slogan. In 3 months, they've gone from MAGA to TIT.
And that's my local story. For those of you who are local, hit subscribe. Next, we have to look at tariffs. And a lot of people are trying to tell me that tariffs are not paid for by the consumer because that is the narrative that the Trump administration is trying to sell you, but it is not true. It's paid to the government by the company that imports the product. So initially, when something comes in and there's a tariff, the country that the good comes from does not pay the tariff. The company that receives the product pays the tariff. That means the company is paying money to the government to receive a good. The only way that that can work is if they pass that cost on to you, the consumer. Historically, tariffs have pushed up prices as higher product costs are often passed on to consumers. There you have it. The cost of the tariff goes to you, the consumer. And how much will that be? Well, we can look at that. This is estimates for tariffs that are currently about to go into place. Average household spending is going to be up $3,800 a year. That's $4,000 a year. So if your tax return was around $4,000, you can basically just kiss it goodbye before it exists every single year. It's just debt you can't go into. It's money you can't spend on Christmas or the holidays or birthdays, because that's what this is coming out of. We're going to have to buy our groceries. It's not going to stop us from that. We're going to have to buy a vehicle when the vehicle goes bad or we need another one, but we aren't going to be able to buy these things. Presents for our kids, laptops, things like that. And we can talk about those too. Pay for the lowest income households will go down 4%. Layoffs are going to happen because we aren't going to be able to buy these things, which means these things are going to have to increase very highly in price, or they're just going to disappear because we're not consuming them. So choice is really the biggest factor here. It all comes down to choice. These tariffs will eliminate consumer choice, period. If you want a new pair of shoes, like I said, for like a birthday, 18% increase on those. Clothing, 17%. Price of rice, 10%. That's just one example. Price of cars, 8%. I believe it will be higher than that, but these are estimates. And the price of produce, 4%. Other things like coffee and pineapples, we cannot replace those supply chains. If you like coffee and you pay $6, let's say, for your Starbucks order, Expect it to be $8. Expect it to be $10. This is all coming, and we are completely self-inflicted here. Nobody did this to us. We decided that we were going to do this. And the reason why, at least Trump's theory that this is correct, is trade deficit. If I go to the store and I buy a bunch of groceries from Kroger, I have a trade deficit of 100% because I buy stuff at Kroger and they buy nothing from me. The trade deficit would be calculated by the amount of goods that I spend versus the amount of goods that they spend on me. So I would have to go to Kroger and say, I have cleaning services available. Would you like to subscribe to my cleaning services? And they would have to say yes. And they would have to buy cleaning services that were equal to the amount of groceries that I buy there in order for the trade deficit to be zero. We can't do a trade deficit of zero with Cambodia if all we do is buy coffee from Cambodia and they don't need plastic or chemicals from us. And they definitely aren't going to need the amount of plastic and chemicals that we need in coffee or whatever product they're going to give. So you can't eliminate a trade deficit with a tariff, but that is supposedly what's going on here. We're going to eliminate trade deficits. You can do all this math and all this economics, but all it does is hurt Americans. Republicans are typically free trade oriented as far as a party, and this is the exact opposite of free trade. This is insanity and protectionism if they had a baby. And the only person it hurts is you. Maybe you don't realize it yet. Go to the grocery store, look at the things that are for sale and how much they cost, and then go back in 3 weeks from today if these tariffs are still in effect, and you'll find that they are drastically more expensive. Everything goes up. Even the local stuff goes up because if there's no competition, or if the competition costs more, then the local products will just increase because they have the room to do that. And also these companies that sell one product that's from another country and one product that's from the US, what they're going to do is they're going to try to diversify, which means they're going to increase the prices on the US because there's no tariffs. So the US products will go up anyway because they need to make the products that are from the rest of the world look like justified. Otherwise, it's just going to make no sense when you go to the grocery store. Ritz crackers are $3.99, but saltine crackers are $11.99. No, Ritz are also going to be $11.99, regardless of where they came from. It's just an opportunity for companies to increase and increase and increase the price until all of us are priced out from the ability to buy them. And that's what Trump doesn't see. He doesn't understand that he is pricing us out of our own economy. However, the stock market does see that. They know what trade deficits are. A trade deficit occurs when a country's imports, goods and services bought from other countries, exceed exports. It's just exactly what I said. But the markets know this. Look at the Dow Jones for today. We're down 1%. And if you go back a month, it's really easy to see. Here's where the tariffs were announced, and it's just downhill from there. And it's going to continue. That's the Dow Jones. The NASDAQ is down today. If we go back to 1 month, it's the exact same curve. These are not market factors. This is the Trump tariffs, period. Finally, let's look at the S&P. Down again today. Go back to 1 month. It's the exact same curve. The Trump tariffs are ruining the market. Your 401k is in the market. This was a decision to crash the economy. And I know you want to argue, oh, when manufacturing comes back here, then everything's going to be good and all these companies are investing, right? Companies are going to start coming to the United States. Well, that's not exactly true either. Legislation got them to come here, and the legislation was passed before Trump came into office. The Inflation Reduction Act is incentivizing a resurgence in U.S. manufacturing, particularly in green sectors, providing billions in funding, tax credits, and other incentives. Trump claims that his tariffs are the reason why all these investments are being made. It's not true. I can prove it. Here's Trump talking about tariffs.
Apple is going to spend $500 billion.
Apple is going to spend $500 billion. They've never spent money like that here. Well, they have promised they were going to spend money like that here previously. Apple has announced a commitment to invest more than $500 billion over the next 4 years, including a new factory in Texas. Looks great, right? And Trump is the one that brought it here, except he wasn't. If you type in, has Apple pledged investment before, Apple commits $430 billion in U.S. investment over 5 years. Well, that was 4 years ago. April 26, 2021. Have they committed anything? No. Apple just says what they have to say to move the stock price where it needs to go, to keep the status quo up. Apple cannot build factories here because the manufacturing they do, we do not have the skilled labor, we don't have the plants, we don't have the tools. If we were going to build a factory that does something that Apple needs to do, we don't have the tooling. We have to buy that tooling from China in order to build the manufacturing plants here. Where do you think the manufacturing equipment comes from? It all comes from China. And China is 34% tariff now. In fact, it's not even 34%. Trump has threatened to impose an additional 50% tariff on China. And that's not to mention the fact that rare earths have been frozen by China. You can't make this stuff up. China hits back at U.S. with export controls on key rare earths. This is why the tariffs will never work, because it's not an agreement. It's not trade that's fair and negotiated and sensible. It's just penalties for us and for the country in general. If we go down here, China placed export restrictions on rare earth elements on Friday as part of a sweeping response to Donald Trump's tariffs. China produces 90% of the world's rare earths, a group of 17 elements used across defense, electric vehicle, and energy industries. Okay, we all knew that, or if you didn't, that's what a rare earth means, a rare earth metal or rare earth element. The export curbs include not only mined minerals, but permanent magnets. And if you think we can make those here, you're wrong. 7 categories of medium and heavy rare earths, including, and it's a bunch of metals, but basically this stuff is used in manufacturing, magnets, oil refining. There's all kinds of things that we use these rare earths for, and they're not available anywhere else. China made that list strategically. They picked the things that are crucial for the U.S. economy. China's move will create a scramble for access to the limited sources of alternate supply. And if you think we can get them somewhere else, there is currently only one heavy rare earth element focused operation outside of China, Myanmar, and however you pronounce this. And China has close involvement in the supply chains of those places. So the places that make and produce these rare earths that aren't China, China has relationships with them. We don't have a relationship anymore with anyone. We just ended that with these tariffs. And here's the final blow. That mine in Brazil ships minerals to China for processing. Even if we can find these deposits of rare earths, and yes, there are deposits in the U.S., nothing can be produced with them because they are worthless if they are not pure. And the only place that can make them pure is China. It's the only place because they have set up the supply chain to be this way. And we have decided, instead of cooperating with them and forming a relationship, that we need to end our relationship and make everything worse for everyone. And if you think Trump is only lying about Apple making investments because of him, you're wrong.
TSMC, the biggest, most important company in the world of chips from Taiwan, with no investment from us, is investing $200 billion. And they said the reason was, number one, the election of November 5th, and number two, the tariffs.
None of that is true. TSMC's $6.6 billion Arizona deal, the latest in the CHIPS Act rollout. That's right, they're doing it because of the CHIPS Act. That was April of 2024. They're not investing because of the tariffs. They're investing because of the CHIPS Act, because we wrote legislation that makes sense and is permanently installed. And that's why they made the investment. It has nothing to do with the tariffs. Trump loves to create problems and then solve them himself. He also likes to take credit for things that he did not do. Remember to like, share, copy the link, send it in an email, drop a like down below. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you so much for watching. This is Buy Nothing. I'm Adam, and it's because our wallets are the only vote we have left.